Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today on It's Armageddon, I'm asking the question, what if you could only save 2 stories from each season of the Pertwee era? So, seasons 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, what if you could only save 2 stories, which for most of those is less than half? Which ones would you save and why? Now, for season 7, it's easy, Spearhead and Inferno. I like Silurians. I think it's an episode too long, but I like Silurians a lot, especially the ending. I love the ending. And Ambassadors of Death, I've stated many times that my issue with it is just its length. It's too long. It's a good story. I love the plot. It's just way too long. Like 4 or 5-parter tops. That's all it needs to be. But Inferno I love and Spearhead I love. Spearhead is just, both of those actually are essential Doctor Who. Every Doctor Who fan needs to see those stories, especially with Spearhead looking so good, since it can be, remastered in true HD. The only classic Who story that can. That's quite fascinating. And then Inferno, just because Inferno is amazing. Excuse me. You guys know I love Inferno. It's one of my top 10, probably top 5 Doctor Who stories of all time. I just love it. Easily my favorite Pertwee story. Season 8 gets a little trickier because there are 3 of them that are really high up on the list for me. But I know I would have to get Terror of the Autons. I love Delgado's Master. He's just phenomenally good, and we definitely got to have his first appearance. I mean, his first scene is so good, but you got to have his first appearance. And plus, I just like the story. It's nice to have the Autons back. And then my other one would probably be Mind of Evil. I know it doesn't look the best restoration-wise because everything they had to do to get the color back in it, and it's a miracle that we even have the color back in it, so I won't complain. But I do love the story. It's my favorite of the season. It's really, really good. Again, Delgado is just on fire in this. I think it balances out its 6 parts really well. I love the concept and idea of the Keller machine. And I believe it's written by the same guy who wrote Inferno. And I think that guy was right. I need to see what else he wrote for Doctor Who, if anything. He seems like a good writer. I can't remember who wrote him. But I enjoy that a lot. I wanted to include Colony in Space. You guys know I like Colony in Space. But to be honest, if I had a third one, I'd probably just save the Daemons. Less for me, because I prefer Colony, but I know how much you guys love the Daemons. But if I could only pick 2, Terror of the Autons and The Mind of Evil, those are just the best 2 stories that season for me. Season 9, I haven't seen all of Season 9 yet. I've never seen The Mutants or The Time Monster, the only Pertwee stories I haven't seen yet. Well, I've seen either the first episode or the first 2 episodes of The Time Monster. I've never finished it, and I've never seen The Mutants. I would say Day of the Daleks especially, preferably the special edition. I really do enjoy it more with the enhanced effects. I think it's the story where it's my favorite Doctor Who story with enhanced effects. I'll put it that way. The enhanced effects really make the execution of Day of the Daleks live up to the actual story, because the plot and story of it are fantastic and very ahead of their time. And you've seen stories borrow from it a lot over the years, but it's a fascinating concept, especially for the time, and still is to this day. Such a good story. I very much enjoy it. Plus, all of the Masters survive for that one. So all of the Master tapes survive for Day of the Daleks. It's hard to pick on the other one between Curse and Sea Devils. I like both, but I would choose Sea Devils. I think Sea Devils is just a cracking good story. I really enjoy it. Again, you have Delgado back. And again, he's great in the role. And I like the Sea Devils themselves. I love the way they talk. They have really cool voices. And I like a lot of the location filming in it as well. I just think it's a really good story. And half of it exists on their original masters. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 do exist on their original masters, with episodes 1, 2, and 3 being reverse standard converted. And I'm curious to see if they do a fresh restoration for the Blu-ray box set that just got announced, because I know the Sea Devils takes up 2 discs in that. I think disc 4 and 5, so there could be a new restoration for those first 3 episodes. I'm curious about that. For season 10, it's a little tricky because there are 3 stories that are, I like season 10 a lot, but there are 3 stories that are just absolutely phenomenal, and it was really hard to pick just 2 of them. 3 Doctors is a must, because Troughton just steals the show. I'm a huge Troughton fan. I'm a big Pertwee fan, but I'm a huge Troughton fan as well. And so you have Pertwee and Troughton in a story together. Yes, please. One of my favorite scenes in all of Doctor Who is in The 3 Doctors. So it got to be the three doctors. I love that. And I love the fact Hartnell shows up just to tell him he doesn't think much of either of them. I love that. The other two that's hard to pick between is Carnival of Monsters and the Green Death. And I would probably pick the Green Death for its reputation alone and because I feel like it's more essential to Doctor Who. Both are great stories. Carnival of Monsters is, of course, Bob Holmes. You guys know I love Bob Holmes, the best writer I think the show's ever had. And Carnival of Monsters is such a good story. It's probably the most overlooked of the Pertwee stories, I think. Because I think it's a classic right up there with a bunch of the others, like The Daemons and Inferno and Terror of the Autons and Spearhead. But it just doesn't get mentioned in the same circles they do a lot, or it doesn't get mentioned as often as they do, and it should, because it's such a cracking good story. I absolutely love it. But The Green Death is also a really good story. Everybody remembers the ones with the maggots, and the effects for the maggots are really good for the most part. Yeah, there's a little dodgy CSO in it, but that's fine. It's, you know, classic 70s Who. We get that. And the flying thing's a little, but it's still some pretty good effects in there. Joe has one of the best companion departures in the series, I think. I love the ending of The Green Death, especially since that not only ends the story, but ends the season on that note. Really good ending. I think it's a legendary story for a reason, with a really good message, a political message that, while at the same time, it's not subtle, although to be honest, I actually think there's 2 or 3 political messages going on it, some more subtle than others. I never feel like it's browbeating me over the head with it, like other shows and even other Doctor Who stories have done. So yeah, I'd probably pick The Green Death for that. And then moving into season 11, which is also tricky actually. Right off the bat, I'm keeping The Time Warrior. I got to watch The Time Warrior for the first time just a few months ago. One of my subscribers sent me The Time Warrior, and my God, it's awesome. And I had forgotten. It took me a minute to wonder, why am I loving this story this much? Who wrote this? So I looked at the DVD case and, it's my friend Bob Holmes. I had forgotten Bob Holmes wrote The Time Warrior. And I was like, well, I'm in for a show indeed. Love me some Bob Holmes. So we not only get, I think, the only Pertwee historical, which is great. I tend to like historicals. We also get the first story with the Suntarans. So the Suntarans were invented by Holmes. And the first story with Sarah Jane. So her introduction was handled by Robert Holmes. And she is great in this. Elizabeth Sladen was such good casting. And her and John have good chemistry together. I think when you think of Sarah, you tend to think of 4. But 3 and Sarah go really well together. I think Pertwee and Liz had a really good chemistry together. And I love their dynamic as actors and their dynamic as characters. And I love just how well written Sarah is written in her first season. I mean, she's written good, I think, all throughout Who, but to varying degrees. But especially in her first season, she's written so well, so independent. I love that. And it's just a really good story, I love the filming, the location work, the studio work. It's such a good story. The second one's a little harder to pick. I mean, do you keep Planet of Spiders because it's the final story? I mean, most people I don't think will keep Monsters of Peladon, even though it's an underrated story. But then you also have Death to the Daleks, and then you have Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I think a lot of people would pick Invasion of the Dinosaurs because it probably is the second best story. And despite the issues with episode 1 and trying to recolor it. But me, I'd probably say Death to the Daleks, and I know that's an odd choice. But I like Death to the Daleks. It's fun to me. I'm not saying it's the most essential Doctor Who. I'm not saying it's the best story of the season. I think Invasion of the Dinosaurs is a better story, and I think Planet of the Spiders is more essential, even if it's just for the regeneration. But I always feel Planet of the Spiders is a decent to good story, but never a great story. I feel like Pertwee deserved better for his send-off. And I just really enjoy Invasion of the Dinosaurs. But I like Death to the Daleks. It's just one of those fun stories that I always enjoy rewatching. I've seen it, I don't even know, maybe half a dozen times, if not close to it. I like Death to the Daleks. It's always a fun rewatch. I'm always in a good mood and have a smile on my face when I watch it. I'm sure you have stories like that in Doctor Who. I think everybody has their Doctor Who stories. They might not have the best reputation, but you enjoy them when you rewatch them. You You know, you got a smile on your face, you're having a good time, you're content, you're happy. And for me, Death to the Daleks is one of those. I enjoy a lot of it. Again, I like the rapport between the third Doctor and Sarah in it. You know, when she's drugged and about to get sacrificed and they lead him into the room, I like as soon as he sees her and he realizes instantly what's going on, he goes to save her. He knocks the people guarding him down and just flying tackles people. He just knocks these two down and just dives onto a whole bunch of them, just jumps on them. Has no chance of winning. But it delays her getting sacrificed. I just love how he, without hesitation, literally throws himself at them. I love that. I love that. I love how the Daleks are like, as soon as they show up, they're like, exterminate them, fire, 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 fire. And when the guns don't work, the humans are like, we can work together. The Daleks are like, yeah, we can work together. That's what we meant to say. And the humans are like, oh, cool. I love the fact that Daleks come up with the alternate firing method where they're actually shooting the projectiles. That's clever. I like that. I like seeing Daleks with projectiles that fire faster. And I love the fact they tested on the little model TARDIS. They hate the Doctor so much, they have a little model TARDIS. I love that. There's no reason for them to have that. But apparently one of the Daleks hates the Doctor so much that tested on this. Either that or I've talked about my theory about Frank the Dalek, who is secretly a Doctor fan. Frank actually really loves the Doctor. He just, keeps it a secret from all the other Daleks. The problem is he's terrible at keeping secrets. And all the other Daleks know. So when Frank's not looking, they like, you know what? We need to test this. Let's get Frank a little TARDIS model. We can shoot a TARDIS model and it'll piss Frank off. I love it. I love that. You can tell if you just by me talking about it, I really enjoy this story. I really do. It's a lot of fun. So I would have to save that one. The other one for season 11. So those are my choices. I would like to know which two stories you would save from each season of the Pertwee era. So comment down below and let me know what you think and what you think of my choices. Other things to do while I have you here. My goal for 2023 is to reach 1,000 subscribers here in Doctor Who's 60th anniversary year. So if you enjoy my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button. That helps me out. We're slowly but surely getting there. Also, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. That helps me with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate that. I also have a Patreon. That helps me keep the bills paid and these wonderful box sets behind me and this wonderful Skeletor beside me and all that fun stuff. So if you would like to contribute to that, there is a link to my Patreon down in the description below. Several different tiers there to choose from. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Dr. Finn Perkins. I appreciate their continued support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review. I also have a link to my Amazon wish list down there as well. I update that regularly. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.